Hey guys, it's Yuta. So this is part 2 of our discussion about differences between Japan and the United States. Enjoy! Safety. What's interesting in the States is if you are in a big city, just going to a next vlog can get pretty sketchy.
Yeah.
So you know, okay, where to not go. There are areas that you don't want to go. But it's not like in Tokyo. In Tokyo, you can pretty much go everywhere.
Oh yeah, you
at
can
any time of the day,
exactly like
alone,
alone.
unarmed.
Exactly, like if I'm in Japan, I can walk around like 2 or 3 a.m. by myself, but in the States, I can't. I was living in Westwood, which is really like safe area in Los Angeles, so I could walk around like 12 or like midnight, but not like 2 or 3 a.m. They're like exactly like what you said. There are like some streets you shouldn't be walking even in the earlier time too.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can be on this side of the street, but you don't want to be on the other side of the street. It can be so specific, and that's pretty interesting. It's normal if you travel. One of the first things I do is, okay, ask some local people, okay, tell me where I shouldn't go. But in Japan, no, I can't think of any particular area that I wouldn't want to go because of safety issues. For example, we have a red light district in Shinjuku. Yes, it feels a bit sketchy, but if you go there, nothing will happen.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I live really close to red light district in Tokyo, but nothing happened to me.
Yeah, like girls can go there alone and they will just leave you alone.
Yeah.
Or, they will try to recruit you, but, you can just say no and nothing will happen. Have you had any experience where you felt like, it was dangerous in the States or in Japan?
Not for me, but my friend, she was walking on the street at night. Then like some like random guy came up to her, then he put a gun on her head, then asked for money. So it happened in my city. So
Yeah, I wouldn't enjoy that kind of experience.
yeah, me neither. But I never had those kind of experience, so I think it really like depends on where you live, depends on like where you go. So just be careful. Ooh, politics. One thing I was so shocked was like students, like American students are really into politics. They always want to talk about politics. Like I was in the States when Donald Trump got elected, then everyone was like super, aggressive. But thank goodness I was in LA. Well, if I were in, I don't want to say any further, but thank God I was in LA.
In a red state, for example.
Yeah.
Would have been different.
Yeah, that would be different. Yeah, my friend, she studied abroad in Texas. Like she got like so much hate comment after he got elected. Yeah, so I'm really glad I was in LA.
Yeah. Tell me more about what it was like being in LA during the election.
I don't know. Like people kept asking me my opinions about. When I was in Japan, I never into politics. I don't know like who my president was.
The Prime Minister?
Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, it was.
Yeah, Prime Minister.
It used to be like we have a new Prime Minister every year.
Yeah. Then I lost. Well, yeah, I wasn't like interested.
Yeah.
Well, I was in university in Tokyo for a year, but like my friends, we never talked about politics. But like no one seems like really, has opinion.
People are simply not interested in it. You can talk about it if you want to talk about it. It's not like it's a taboo, but people are simply not interested in politics.
In the States, everyone has opinion. Then everyone is really into it. And yeah, they understand what's going on. That was kind of.
Do you think they actually understand what's going on?
I want to say yes.
So the funny thing is, in my family, we sometimes discuss politics. My parents sometimes complain some stuff about politics, but we're not very political. It's just one of those like topics we sometimes talk about. But yeah, with your friends, generally speaking, you don't really discuss politics.
Oh, one thing. When Donald Trump got elected, one of my class got cancelled. because
Oh, really?
yeah, because my professor was like too shocked. That was quite interesting. I got an email in the morning saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna cancel this. I'm gonna cancel today's class because I'm so shocked that he got elected." I'm like, "Okay, professor."
Never happens in
Never
Japan.
happened in Japan.
Sometimes it feels a bit too much. So now if you don't support the same like a politician, your political alignment is different. Some people think, oh, we can't really be friends. You know, I don't want to date somebody who supports a certain politician or certain political party. So feels a bit not very open-minded sometimes.
Here we go. Yeah. That's the one thing interesting about United States. I thought United States would be more open-minded, but like in some way, they're really close-minded. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Interesting.
some people.
Yeah.
I'm fine with people who have different political views as long as they don't really try to force me to have the same view, right? Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, like people won't judge you. It's like normal or it's okay to say your opinion.
Yeah.
That's the good thing about the States, but you know.
Let's talk about political correctness. The US is a very politically correct country, so if you say one wrong thing, if you tweet something that can remotely be perceived as racist, you don't have to be, really, really racist, but it's enough for some people to think that you're racist. You can get fired. Or if you upload one video on YouTube that is controversial, people can be very sensitive about certain topics. Japan is not really like that.
I think it's because Japan has less diversity compared to the United States, so people really don't have any like hate. But
So I think in Japan, it's like in some cultures, it's not so bad to say, "Oh, you're fat," or "You're skinny." And in some cultures, in Japan, no, that's not something you should say to a person. But yeah, in some culture, it's okay. Oh, you're a fat person, and not as a mean comment, but just making that remark can be somewhat acceptable. But of course, in other cultures, it's not. That's a no-no. Of course, it's not good to say something that might hurt somebody. Of course, that's not a good thing. But I feel like sometimes the consequence is disproportional to the thing the crime that you the people say that you commit. Yeah.
But if you're from other cultures, you might not know like what are the like taboo topics. And
Let's be realistic. People are not perfect.
yes, I'm not perfect.
You sometimes think something inappropriate. There are things that you are not supposed to say, at least in public.
The one thing I don't like about Japanese people is they won't tell you. Like if you did something wrong, they won't tell you. Then they will just ignore you. They will start ignoring you. So you will never know what you've done to the person. So you really have to be careful when you talk to Japanese. It really depends on the personality. So I don't want to generalize Japanese character, but generally speaking, usually they won't tell you.
We tend to avoid conflicts.
So
Yeah. I want to talk about small talk. It happened to me a lot in the States. People just make small talk randomly. If you are just queuing, for example, the person who is next to you might just start talking to you. Oh, where you're from?
oh,
What are you getting? And something like that.
right? Yeah, people are super friendly. Oh, I went to UCLA. Then everyone wears UCLA t-shirts. So I was in the city wearing UCLA t-shirts. Like a random guy came up to me and saying, "Hey, you go to UCLA?"
Yeah, and people sometimes join your conversation randomly. It happened to me a few times. Like, they might say something like, "Oh, that's not necessarily true," or "I disagree." And that's pretty interesting. And also people comment on your clothes.
Right.
Like they always say, "Oh, nice t-shirt," or, "I like your shoes." Yeah, also happens to me many times.
That's true. People always say positive things about your like outfit or like even your hairstyle. Like
So, and it never happens in Tokyo. But in Japan, if you go to smaller cities, sometimes people will talk to you. But in Tokyo, no. Even if you start talking to people in Tokyo, it can be very awkward. But if you do it in Osaka, people are more likely to talk to you. I did my experiment.
you did.
For example, in Tokyo, if you see somebody just queuing, and you want to know what they're waiting, like what the queue is about. So sometimes you ask, what do you guys what this is about? And Tokyo people sometimes they are kind of like they get very awkward, and they just stare at you and they don't say anything.
Really?
Yeah, happens to me.
What? That's so sad.
I mean, I might not be the most friendly looking person, but still, it's a very innocent question, right? Yeah. Oh, what's this for? But in other cities, like in Osaka or in Fukuoka, I also, did that because I just wanted to see people's reaction, and they were more like friendly. Yeah, they will just talk to you. Oh, we are waiting for this thing, or we are going to a concert or something like that, and yeah. So Tokyo is a bit different from other cities.
Yeah.
I guess, or like the Tokyo area.
So as I said, I went to university in Tokyo for a year. Then I went to university in the States for 4 years. When I'm in class, student next to you will start talking to you. In the States, yeah, like, hey, like, how are you doing? Like, have you done your homework? Or like, I have questions about the topic, yada. So
Nice.
Yeah, so nice. I made like so many friends from classes.
So nice.
But
yeah.
in Japan, no.
Yeah, in my university in Tokyo, never happened. But I was actually the one who would talk to other people, especially cute girls.
Ta-da!
And if you do that, you don't always get a good reaction. But some of them will talk to you. So yeah, I got to know some people that way. You can still do it, but
Yeah.
it's a little more challenging. You have to be confident and you have to be mentally strong.
Yes.
You have to be able to take rejections.
Yeah, we're not saying like you're not supposed to do it. Just
Prepare for rejections.
Prepare for rejections. Yes. Yeah. So I felt like I made more friends in the States from school.
Yeah. Well, in the States, I also talked to just random strangers in Starbucks or something like that. And they'd always talk to you.
Because I sometimes exchange my Facebook account or numbers with strangers in the States. Because that's normal. Like, we will have good conversation and hey, we have like so much in common, so why don't we exchange yada, but never happens in Japan.
Yeah. But Tokyo is a lonely place, and again, if you go to different cities in Japan, it can be much easier to talk to strangers.
Well, anyways, I'm from Tokyo.
Are you from Tokyo?
Oh no, I was born in Hiroshima, but I moved to Tokyo when I was younger, so I'm basically like
Tokyo person. That's why you're so unfriendly.
Am I?
No, just kidding.
Am I?
Just kidding.
In Japan, people love to save money, but in the States, people love to spend money. Like even they're not well off.
That's true. I've known some American people who earn a decent salary, but they don't have savings because they just end up using, what they earn.
But it's good for economy, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's more like a philosophical debate, I guess, should you save or should you spend? Yeah, but I think we do have a saving culture.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do.
You always hear like 2/3 or 1/3 of Americans they can't afford an emergency of like $300. And that's quite surprising, right?
Yeah, quite surprising. Yeah.
Of course, if you don't earn a lot, it's understandable. You have to live like a paycheck from paycheck. But even with people who earn fairly decent amount of money, they might not save. Yeah, they just end up spending.
Yeah, a lot of my friends, they never save. They usually spend.
Yeah, if I think of American people, I know many of them are kind of like that.
Yeah, because Japan has a lot of natural disasters, so I understand where we're coming from, but that's the one thing I realized.
Yeah. Well, you could say we tend to worry more about our future.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's understandable.
We tend to think about like negative things that might happen in the future.
Yeah, our gene. As I mentioned in the beginning, I lived in the States for 5 years, but before I go to the States, I spoke like zero English. So I felt people will judge me, like not speaking good enough English. But no, like everyone was like super friendly, and then everyone was like, oh, you're from Japan, then you're trying to learn English. Then people were so nice to me. So that was the one thing I loved about the States, that I missed about the States.
What do you think would happen in Japan if you were in the opposite situation? Don't speak Japanese, and if you go to a Japanese school, what do you think would happen?
I think people won't judge you. People won't like say anything about your language level, but it will be hard to make Japanese friends if you don't speak any Japanese. Because that happened to my friends. I have a lot of American friends who moved to Japan to work, but they speak okay Japanese, but they're not fluent in Japanese, and they never had Japanese friends, which is really sad. They usually hang out with American people or me, like who speaks like fair English. But it doesn't mean Japanese people don't want to be friends with you. Just, I don't know, Japanese people are not confident, right?
I think it takes more time to be friends with Japanese people in general. You have to need kind of like a solid, like a ground. You have to need a solid base to become friends in Japan. But sometimes with American people, if you meet somebody for the first time, and now you're friends.
Friends, yeah. If I know your name, we're friends. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so I think if you want to learn a new language, the States will be more easier to learn.
I also think that in Japan, it's easier to make friends if you belong to the same type of group. And then Japanese people will be more comfortable with talking to you. So we are less individualistic in that regard. But for example, in Europe or in the States, especially if you go to a more like a cosmopolitan, like a city diverse part, it's more like on a individual basis. So you don't even have to be in the same group or anything. If you just meet somebody who you think you can get along with, you can be friends like almost immediately. I actually made some friends that way.
Yeah?
Yeah. From somebody who was a total stranger becoming a friend. Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah,
but not necessarily with Japanese people. Well, it actually happened once.
Yeah?
Yeah. But even in university, many Japanese students, they have trouble making friends.
Like Japanese student with Japanese?
Yeah. For example, in high school, with Japanese people, it's easier to make friends because you stick with the same classmates in every class. But if you go to a university, you just take different classes, so you don't always see the same people. So many Japanese students are actually pretty lonely, and they don't really know how to make friends, especially if they don't belong to any like university groups, like activity groups.
Then how would you make friends?
They don't, so that's the problem.
Oh, that's sad. I was living in dorm. That's where I made like a lot of friends, and also from my classes, and also student organizations.
So check out Shino's channel.
And follow my Instagram.
And if you want to learn more about cultural differences, especially Japanese culture, you need to learn Japanese. So if you want to learn Japanese with me, I will teach you the kind of Japanese that Japanese people today actually speak, unlike unnatural, old-fashioned textbook Japanese. So click the link and subscribe to my email group, Japanese with Yuta. Alright, see you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you all enjoyed.